Raising the Bets is brought to you by the Star Quest Production Network and is made possible by our many generous patrons. If you'd like to support the podcast, please visit sqpn.com/give. You're listening to Raising the Bets, a family podcast of pirates and penguins. We're a Catholic couple raising 5 kids outside of Boston. Join us as we share the joys and challenges of marriage, homeschool, and our adventures near and far as we make sense of the world and experience the best parts of our culture. I'm Dom Bettinelli.
And I'm Melanie Bettinelli.
First, a shout out to Chris White, Scoutmaster for the Girls Scout Troop, who we've learned is a listener. Hi, Chris. We won't say anything bad about Scouts. Actually, I can't guarantee that. We say nothing bad about your troop. I sometimes have complaints about BSA, but that's a whole nother thing. So, speaking of BSA and scouting, what did we do this past week, scouting related?
We had a major scouting related Saturday.
We had a scouting Saturday. There's a name for this, by the way. They call it Campsgiving.
Campsgiving, really?
It's a tradition where troops will go out to, they usually camp. In fact, I think Troop 56 that hosted us was camping this weekend.
Yes.
They go and camp and cook Thanksgiving dinner for the troop there. It's like Friendsgiving. People have a Friendsgiving where they have a Thanksgiving dinner with their friends before Thanksgiving. It's a thing, apparently. I did this in college, like before everyone went on break. We'd had Thanksgiving dinner. We didn't call it Friendsgiving. We just said we'll have Thanksgiving dinner before we go. Everything has to have a hashtag name now. So this is hashtag Campsgiving.
Okay, I had not actually heard the name. So
all right. So the local boys troop, Troop 56, invited Pack 56, the Cub Scouts that Lucy, Ben, and Anthony are in, and Troop 13, the girl troop that Bella and Sophia are in, to come to Campsgiving for the day. And it's at a place called both Camp Sayre, that's the scout part, but also called New England Base Camp, because it's also open to the general public. And what they have there is they have a huge facility, not only just camping, cabins and campsites, but they have like a shooting range for BB guns and arrows and an axe yard, and they placed
an indoor pool,
an indoor Olympic-sized pool, and rock climbing walls indoors, and a climbing tower outside, and knot tying stations, and like all kinds of activities, outdoor cooking things, and every Saturday it's open. You can go and you pay a fee, and you can do all these different activities. And if you're scouts, you get a discount, whatever. So each fall, our pack, the Cub Scout pack, and now the girls, which that's their first time, will go with the scouts, the Boy Scouts. There's that problem again of how do you identify them? The Boy Scouts and the girls who are scouts, we go to Camp Sayre for the day. And I was looking forward to this because it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of cool things there. And this was the first time that all 5 kids were going to go together as scouts. And then it turned out I had scheduled the recording for December's Jimmy Akin's Mysterious World podcasts on the same day.
Oops.
So a little behind the scenes, Jimmy and I record all of the shows for each month on one Saturday, just because it works for Jimmy's schedule.
And just bad luck that you picked that Saturday.
I don't know what happened. I always put it on the calendar. I always look at the calendar to make sure, and it was like the recording was on the calendar. So when we were deciding when we were going to do this ahead of time, I don't know what I did wrong, but I messed up. Every once in a while, those things happen. So that meant that you had to go.
Which I would have done anyway. I mean, I was planning to go.
If all 5 of us were going, you were going to go.
Right.
But it kind of got laid on your shoulders, like, now you have to go, and you are...
I am now the adult chaperone for the Cubs.
Well, for our Cubs.
Well, yes, for our Cubs.
I found a different parent in the den who would take responsibility for the den, because I'm the den leader for the Bears, the bear den. So I found one of the other parents who would take responsibility for that. But because Lucy's a tiger, she's like the younger ones, the one of the youngest ones, she has to have a parent with her. doing all the various things. Whereas Anthony and Ben and Bella and Sophie are old enough where they can be just with their dens doing things, or the girls can be with their troop. But you went.
I did.
And
I had fun. I had a great time. It was a nice day.
You got to meet a lot of different parents.
Yes, which was good because I've met some of them, but some of them I haven't met, or I've met briefly in passing, but I haven't had the chance to have, conversations, to talk with them, that sort of thing.
And while I was recording, you were sending me text messages of photos of the kids doing fun things, and I just kind of like, sad.
Yeah.
Sad daddy. But I'm glad that you all had fun. And then as soon as we were done, I finished everything up and headed over there because so in the morning there's going to be all these activities, and then lunch, and then some more activities in the afternoon, and then around 3 there was going to be the pack meeting and the troop meeting where they would hand out ranks and awards and things, and then after that was dinner, the Thanksgiving dinner. And so my goal was to get there for the pack meeting, which I missed. I got there just a little too late for that, but so that morning, so like what some of the things. Now we had a few complaints about the disorganization of the camp itself, which frankly it was the same way last year, and we were trying to get them to fix that for this year, and it was still kind of disorganized. The big problem is that they get young people, scouts, who run the stations, and they kind of ignore the cubs.
Yeah, I feel like the older scouts, if they were doing an activity, kind of got precedence sometimes, while the cubs were left to stand and wait until somebody could pay attention to them.
Right. And even then, sometimes the attention is perfunctory.
Right. That happened when we went to the archery range. I felt like the guy who was supposed to be in charge wasn't really paying attention to us and kind of sort of rushed them through it, and then like went back to doing his thing. And they had to stand and wait for like 5 to 10 minutes while the scouts were doing their thing on the other side, and like it was I was frustrated on their behalf.
Yeah. The kids end up spending a lot of time standing around, or you've seen the knot at the knot station. Anthony's trying to watch the kid show how to tie the knot, but he's got his back to Anthony, and he can't see. And I mean, that would be very frustrating. So those are some of the downsides, but the upsides were some of the most fun, and this is funny. My kids are apparently all dead shots with the BB gun.
I don't know dead shots, but they were pretty good for their first time.
I have a family of snipers. We're gonna go hunting.
Yeah, and at the very end, at the den meeting, which you missed, the pack meeting.
The pack meeting, yep.
The pack meeting, which you missed, the scoutmaster went around and asked all the kids what their favorite thing from the day was. Universally, our kids, the cubs, the little ones, said BB guns.
BB guns, yeah. Lucy and Ben and Anthony loved doing the BB guns because they were good at it. And in fact, you even got into it.
I actually did shoot a BB gun.
You laying down on the mat.
Yes.
It was all prone shooting. You had to lay down and shoot.
I got a terrible neck crick, and well, I shot pretty well, actually. Yeah. 9 of my 10 BBs actually hit my paper target.
That's good.
Which was a small paper target. It's like maybe 5 by 8, so it wasn't big.
5 inches by 8 inches. Yeah.
So all 9 of my 10 shots hit the paper, and the majority of those were on the actual
in the rings.
Target circles. Yeah. But some of that was dead reckoning because after like the first 2 or 3, I got this horrible neck crick and my eyes just kind of got blurry and I could not actually focus on the target. I couldn't I couldn't get my glasses lined up with my eye with the sight on the gun and the target. Like,
I'm not sure it would have made a difference because I don't think the sights on those are true anyway. So
well, probably not. But anyway, it was fun.
That's a lot of fun. Last year, Anthony was really good at that same activity. So it's good. But Ben wasn't as good. But this year, he was better than Anthony was. So
this year Anthony was actually not quite as on. I mean, he didn't do terribly.
No. But comparatively, he was pretty good. But Ben did much better this year. So that was good to see. So that sounded fun. And
then later I actually got to catch up with the big girls. And so that was actually when I got my chance to shoot, was when we met up with the big girls. And so Isabella and Sophia and Anthony and Lucia all got to shoot together.
Oh, cool. That's fun.
It was fun.
And then archery. And then, the axe yard.
No axes.
Who is it that was used to doing axes? I thought they had they were chopping wood.
Oh, chopping wood. Yes, I thought you were saying that.
No, so there's an axe shot where you can throw axes at a target.
Yeah, we did not do that.
It just seems like a bad idea. It just seems so. No, but they were chopping wood with the axe.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, they each gave it a few little half-hearted whacks, and it maybe went like half a centimeter into the wood.
They're not getting a lot of leverage on that.
No, it was not. It was not a very big tomahawk. It was a little one.
Awesome.
But they all had. I mean, they got to hold an actual axe and whack it at a piece of wood, and that was very satisfying. Mm-hmm. And they enjoyed that.
And the girls went up a big climbing tower, like a really tall one, like 40 feet. Like it was tall. I mean, even more than 40 feet.
I'm not sure what the measurement on the climbing tower was, but I was impressed.
It's like they go up the tower and they have to walk across this swing bridge. It's a bridge, but it's swings, and each one is like a separate swing. They're not connected to each other. And Sophie sounded like it was really scary for her, but she did it. I'm proud of her.
I was very impressed because she does have some vertigo. We've had some issues on some of our field trips where she had a little bit of vertigo standing up on like a balcony or a staircase, and she really freaked out. And so I was very pleased to see that she had gone up to like across the swing bridge. But she said, she knew that she was in a safety harness and there was no way she could fall and hurt herself. And she said that they had told her it's all in your mind.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Mind over matter. And she mind over matter. She conquered her fear, and I was very.
This is what makes scouting so awesome. Is these opportunities. The opportunities to conquer their fears, to do things that they wouldn't normally otherwise do, and to experience things. So it's one of the things I really love about it. And the other thing is their opportunity to work with other kids and accomplish things. Like we were noticing that with the girls. So Bella and Sophie and Ayani and Jasmine, they're the four members of their troop, had to make certain decisions during the day.
Right. I actually got to overhear a little moment of conflict where two of the girls wanted to do one thing, two of the girls wanted to do another, and they had to discuss. They didn't get into a fight.
Right. It was
a discussion.
It was a friendly conflict. I mean, it was a friendly discussion.
Yeah. The tempers didn't get raised. The voices didn't get raised. But they had to say, no, I really want to do this. No, I really want to do this. And they had to find a way to compromise and work it out. Yeah. I didn't actually hear the part where they came to the compromise and worked it out. But I was impressed that they figured it out.
So there's a new scout, a new cub in my bear den, who just joined, and he and his sister, his older sister, who's Sophie's age, were there, and his sister was thinking of becoming a scout, which would be great, but she said she's really busy right now and we'll have to wait. Yeah, but so she was here. I had to say she was adorable.
She was really sweet.
I've never seen a child who was as outgoing as this, like willing to talk to anybody. Like I show up and she's immediately like best friends, like blah 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 blah. Just like talking. She like there's 7 of us sitting around a table eating dinner, and she's with us, sitting with us. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was so cute. And
they were exchanging phone numbers by the end of the day.
Yeah, or a phone number and Bella's email address, because Bella doesn't have a phone number. I have her mom and her dad's phone number, so if we need to, I can relay messages, that sort of thing. So after that, there was the pack meeting, in the troop, the court of honor, for the troop.
Yes, the girls all got their first rank.
Yes, they all got scout,
and they all got their
totem chip. Oh, their patrol patch.
Their patrol patch.
There's one patrol because there's only 4 of them.
So their patrol is the Warrior Dragons with a very cool dragon with a sword and armor. Is very cool.
Yes.
And they also got founders patches because as they are the founding members of their troop.
Mm-hmm.
So they will be the only 4 kids who ever get founders patches
for Troop 13.
For Troop 13.
Yep. And they also got their totem chip, which is they earn their right to carry a knife. Because they're safe with it. They learned the safety rules, and then
they actually got a knife.
Yeah,
each,
they were each given a knife from the Scoutmaster.
which was they were very surprised. They did not expect to get a knife, and
Yeah.
they were thrilled.
Yes, especially Sophie. I had given Bella my old pocket knife a while ago, one of my old Swiss Army knives, but Sophie didn't have one yet, and so getting that, it was, I think, a big deal for her. So that was really nice. And then after that was dinner, and so the Scouts made 4 turkeys.
4 turkeys.
Four
Yes.
good-sized turkeys. There was a lot of people there, but there were 2 smoked turkeys. They had brought a smoker, and 2 one smoked turkey or 2 smoked?
I think there were 2 smoked
There were 2
turkeys.
trash can turkeys.
Right.
So they literally, they're put on a post in the middle of a fire ring, and then a clean trash can is put over them. So they kind of slid down through the cavity. They're like tied around the post, and then the clean trash can is put over, and then lit charcoal is piled around it, so it creates an oven essentially.
The kids were very concerned about whether the trash can was clean or had been used
Yes.
previously,
Yes.
or not.
I'm sure it was a brand new trash can, maybe,
Yes.
but it was at least clean. Smoked and deep. There was a deep fried turkey too.
Yes.
Which they were very solicitous of Sophie. Everyone knows that Lucy. Sorry, Lucy has allergies. She has a nut allergy, corn, dairy, and eggs, and so very solicitous of her. And so like that's the one she can't eat. That was cooked in peanut oil, that sort of stuff. So that was really nice. But in fact, when it came for time for dinner, they let her go up in front of everybody to get hers first. And so Dan, who's the Cub Master, he's really funny, he's a really nice guy, and he's always joking with the kids. But he has to learn that when he jokes to offer something to our kids, they'll take him up on it. Like, because when we were camping a few weeks ago, he joked to Bella, she came in at breakfast time and she saw he had like a Danish, and she's like, "What's that?" It's like, "It's a Danish. You want a bite?" And she goes, "Okay." And takes a bite out of it. I'm like, Dan, you offered the bite. They're gonna take him. And so this time he hasn't learned. Lucy comes up and there's this huge turkey, like this. I think she went for the smoked turkey. And there's this huge turkey leg, and he says, "You want the turkey leg? Go ahead, you take the turkey leg." And thinking this is always she's gonna take the giant turkey
this
leg.
teeny tiny 6-year-old girl who's very petite.
She's like, "Okay," grabs a turkey leg that's as big as her head and walks away with it. And in fact, I think I'm going to use that for the show, the art on the episode, because it's such a great picture of her taking a huge bite out of this turkey leg. But she couldn't really eat anything else. I got some green beans for her, but there was like cornbread cooked in a cardboard oven.
Yeah, they made an oven with a cardboard box and like aluminum foil and duct tape.
Yeah,
it was impressive. I said, "What's in the cardboard box?" And they said, "It's cornbread."
Yes. So they made cornbread. There was like pounds of mashed potatoes and stuffing and green beans and mixed vegetables
and carrots and mashed
Brussels sprouts.
turnips.
Yeah, I mean it was a ton of food. And Tom's amazing homemade pickles.
Oh, so good.
He given me a jar of
pickles.
this, of these earlier this fall, and they were amazing. I got the recipe from him, so I have to make it sometime, maybe next fall.
And then there was also dessert.
Yep.
They made in Dutch ovens. They made
apple crisp,
brownies.
Yeah, they also had pumpkin pie and apple pie from the store that was just there because there were so many people that they had to have extra desserts. But so it was good, and it was dark by the time we left. But this year they had strung lights overhead, which was nice, and they had tables, like round tables that they'd gotten. So it was nice. It was a good time.
It was a really good Thanksgiving dinner too. I was like, I did not go in with extremely high expectations.
No.
I should have.
If there's one thing you know about Scouts. Scouts eat well. They really do. And that's actually a big thing.
I have to say, and Ben told me like all about the helping that he'd done in food prep. And
yeah, they had the Weebelows helping to prepare the food.
Yeah, and I was really impressed at like the Ben and the big girls were all doing lots of food preparation.
Yeah. They take food sanitary matters very seriously. But food safety.
All the kids were wearing gloves when they were handling food, and
and it wasn't too cold out, so it was pleasant. There was no snow on the ground this year, which was unlike last year. There was some snow on the ground last year. It was a really really good time. And Ben who hasn't been eating very well lately, had a real big helping of food. He, he ate more food at dinner yesterday than I've seen him eat at any one meal in a long time. So that was really good. So it was a great time, and we came home, and it was relatively early still. We got home by 7?
Right, because we ate like right at sunset. It was actually a really early dinner.
Yeah.
And then we got home and it was like
6:30.
6:30, and
like we're usually sitting down at dinner at 6:30.
All the kids were, I think, asleep before 9:30, and I was asleep before 10.
Before 10. I came to bed like around midnight, which was around the usual time, and then then somebody couldn't sleep with the smell of campfire smoke next to them, so I had to go.
No, I had to take a shower and wash my hair because
you take a shower every night.
But I mean, I don't wash my hair every day, and I had to wash my hair and put on like new clothes because the smell of smoke. I'm fine when I'm like
at the campsite,
standing at the campfire, but the smell of smoke on people's clothing or hair.
Away from the
for some reason that's what triggers my asthma, not like standing next to the fire, but the smell on it afterwards. I don't know why.
It's in your head. I'm just kidding.
Not in my head.
I know. So I had to get up and go take a shower, which is
I really really tried not to make you have to get up and take a shower.
Oh, I knew it was coming because I kept hearing the sigh, roll, sigh, and I'm like, I know I'm not breathing heavy, and I know I'm not rolling around. What is she upset about? It turned out it was the smoke. So I got up and took my shower, which is fine. You know, I didn't have to. I was ready to go this morning. I get up and ready to go to mass.
It's true.
So that was fine. That was fun. I'm very sad I missed it, but it gives me resolve to do more stuff with my bear den outdoors, even in the winter. Like we can get out and go for a walk or hike, that sort of thing.
Right. A couple years ago, we were members of a homeschool eco-science club. And one of the best activities that our eco-science club did, one of the moms knew a ranger who was like a ranger for a local town forest, like employed by the town. And this ranger was really great. One of the activities she did was footprints in the snow. And so we all put on snowsuits and went out in, I think it was January or February, into the snow, and we spent a good 4 hours maybe tramping through the snow looking for tracks. We found like a place where a small predator had killed a bird and like left all the feathers all over the place, and we found all sorts of tracks. And then the kids got to like act out in the snow, like
make tracks
themselves.
Oh,
it was
cool.
really fun.
That's fun. So we're gonna do that. So the other thing this weekend that's big is today is my baptism anniversary. On November 24th, the Sunday. It's the anniversary of my baptism. A long, long, long time, 50 years ago now. Actually, was it? It was 51 years ago, I think. Yeah, which is interesting. Is less than a month after I was born. So back then, you baptized right away.
Right.
It was at Blessed Sacrament Parish in Jamaica Plain in Boston, which doesn't exist anymore. And so the funny thing about that, and one of the things we do for our baptisms in our house is we all know when our baptism anniversary is, and we celebrate them with we usually have like a special dessert, and then especially for the kids, we light their baptism candle and do a renewal of our baptismal promises after dinner.
We didn't do the renewal of promises tonight.
Yeah, we kind of lost track of time, I think. Plus, we don't have my baptismal candle.
This is true.
Yeah.
We could still do the promises, though.
Yeah. I always like when we pull out your baptismal candle. You have an unusual baptismal candle.
My baptismal candle is, I was baptized in 1974.
At a Newman Center.
And my baptismal candle was handmade by one of my mom's friends. It's like purple and gold colored wax, like handmade. With my name carved into it.
I don't like to make your mom feel bad, and she has heard me call it the hippie candle. But I say that in a nice way. It's very of its time.
It is.
It's very much of its time.
It is not the store bought.
It is not like the store bought candles.
White candles that all
parishes
the kids have.
use. Yeah, parishes use now. They're come in a little cardboard. It is unique, and no one else has a candle like yours.
Right. And it even says my name on it.
Exactly. So that is your baptismal candle.
Unfortunately, we frequently forget to light it because my baptism day is December 26th. And usually the day after Christmas, we're pretty burned out and we're exhausted. And
nobody wants dessert.
Nobody wants more dessert. We're all like way sugared out.
And it's your sister's birthday. So we've often been focused on that.
Right. If my sister's with us, then we're celebrating Teresa's birthday. So yeah, I mean, of course, my parents couldn't have planned that because I was baptized 4 years before she was born.
Of course. It's not like they were planning your baptism around her birth in the future.
My sister's future birthday.
But they did baptize you on the day after Christmas.
They did. I think that was because that was when my grandparents could all be there.
That's true. That's true.
Because my dad's parents lived in Illinois and my mom's parents lived in Arizona.
And given that you were born in August, that is quite a span. Yeah.
Right. And I really think that I know my grandparents, my dad's parents were there. I think my mom's parents were there too. So I think that they planned it so that the grandparents could be there.
Oh, that works.
At Christmas time.
I wonder what day of the week that was.
I have no idea. We could look it up.
Okay. 1974?
Yeah.
Alexa, what day of the week was December 26th, 1974?
December 26th, 1974 was Thursday.
A Thursday.
There you go.
It's interesting that you were baptized on a Thursday. Interesting. Oh, anyway. So the story was supposed to be about my baptism. So let's talk about. So no, the funny thing is so a few years ago. Oh, was it 6-7 years ago now? I used to work for the Archdiocese of Boston in the Catholic Media Secretariat, and I worked on a radio program, a daily radio program we had called The Good Catholic Life, and it covered lots of things. But one of the things it did was invited priests of the diocese on to talk about their story. You know, what's it like is to be a priest? Where did their vocation come from? It was really actually kind of awesome to hear all of these stories of the priests of the Archdiocese, one after another, and you begin to see the patterns and where vocations come from and what it's like to be a priest. It was really great. But we had this one priest on, and he was telling his story, and I happened to be on as a co-host that day. I wasn't often on as a co-host on the show at that period. Although I was later, but I just happened to be a co-host that day, and he's telling a story, and he says, "Oh, and then I was at Blessed Sacrament Parish in Jamaica Plain." I'm like, "Oh, wait a minute, around what time was that?" And he says, "Oh, it's between this year and that year. I forget exactly what it was." I'm like, "That's weird. That's when I was born. I was baptized in the parish at that time." And he's like, "Wait a minute, what's your last name again?" I said, "Bettinelli." He's like, "I think I baptized you." And he did. His father, Dick Messina, he baptized me. And we talk about like holy coincidences, you know, like coming together.
How often do you get to meet the priest who baptized you? Like when you were baptized as a newborn baby,
40 years later, you know, or 45 years later. Yeah, I mean, it was amazing. It was really awesome. And I told my parents later, and they were very excited. But it was really neat. Father Messina actually passed away last year, so pray for his soul. May Father Messina rest in peace. But yeah, it was such a really funny thing to encounter the priest who baptized you, sort of just out of the blue. That was neat. So I always remember him on today. In fact, that might be a good practice to on the anniversary of your baptism, if you know when it is, and you should, as Pope Francis has said, we all should. On the anniversary of your baptism, remember in prayer the priest who baptized you, whether he's alive or passed on. Pray for his soul.
Definitely use your. Either way, he can use your prayers.
Yes, exactly. So
today we had blueberry pie.
We had blueberry pie to celebrate because blueberry pie is my favorite. Melanie knows that, so she made me a blueberry pie, which was yummy. We didn't have any ice cream for a la mode, but we have ice cream sandwiches. I'm the one who came up with that idea, by the way, when Bella asked you, or was it Anthony asked you, I think.
I figured.
Yeah. I was like, well, we don't have ice cream, but we could put ice cream sandwiches on it.
No.
And Anthony's like, can you do that? I'm like, I'm daddy. I can do anything I want.
We did not.
And then Mama says, no, you can't.
I mean, I suppose we could have, but that seems like overkill.
It seems excessive. Yes. Given that all of the dessert we ate yesterday and all of the desserts we are about to eat this week.
Right.
Yeah, it's probably not necessary. I wasn't really actually all that serious about it. The pie itself was really good. So, no, that was plenty yummy. Speaking of this coming week and all the desserts we're about to eat, we're preparing for Thanksgiving, as I'm sure almost everyone listening is as well.
Well, by the time they're listening, won't they be?
No, it'll be Tuesday.
Oh, okay.
This comes out on Tuesday. Well, I mean, if you listen as it comes out, maybe you're listening to this as you're making your turkey. Wouldn't that be fun? Listen to podcasts while you're getting ready for your Thanksgiving dinner. That's a nice idea. But so we're preparing, and
we by which we mean we haven't actually sat down and talked about the menu yet.
Well, we know we're having a turkey. We've talked about the fact that we don't have a fridge big enough to fit a big enough turkey in.
Right.
So, but if we need to defrost a turkey, we've already passed the day when we need to have the turkey defrosting in the fridge. Well, they're supposed to defrost in the fridge. I don't know. When you go to the store tomorrow, you make your decision on the spot.
Right.
We can make room in the fridge by putting stuff into a cooler, I guess. But there's,
or we could put the turkey in a cooler.
What was it Aaron's son said? This philosophical statement: your fridge is always full, and there's always room for more in your fridge. Think about that. It's true. Your fridge is always full, but then you kind of move things around, and you can just get that one more thing in there.
Sometimes.
I think I've always been able to do that. Anyway, yeah, we've got to get the turkey in there. We got to get the other things that we're going to be cooking, the vegetables and stuff like that. I mean, what do we usually have? We usually have a turkey. We have roasted Brussels sprouts with bacon. We have mashed potatoes. We have stuffing.
Sweet potatoes.
We always have too much. We always make too many dishes.
But then you have leftovers. You have to have leftovers.
This isn't just about having leftovers. There is an excessive variety of food on the table. Not in amount, but in variety. There's too many different kinds of food on the table.
I do not agree.
Yes, it's one of our many disagreements about the Thanksgiving table.
Thanksgiving is supposed to have a wide variety of foods on the table.
But you only fit so much. Like you take this like a spoonful of that, a spoonful of that.
That's how it's supposed to be.
But then you have a giant casserole left over that you're trying to fit in the fridge along with this huge turkey carcass.
Well, yeah, okay. So that's what Thanksgiving's supposed to be.
Thanksgiving is supposed to be about Dom standing at the open fridge at 7:00 at night going, I'm trying to shove stuff in. That it isn't true anymore that the fridge can always has more room. That's only true on days that aren't Thanksgiving.
Well, yes.
So
I do not understand. This does not compute, Lily. Like you could have too many
there should
kinds
be 4
of things.
sides. Choose.
No.
Potatoes, sweet potatoes, stuffing, maybe 5 sides. Brussels sprouts.
You can't make me choose. I disagree.
Choose, but choose wisely.
And then I always have to make pecan pie for dessert.
Oh, well, yes, there is no disagreement that if we show up at my brother's house, we have dinner here, but then we go to my brother's for dessert. That's where all my family gathers. And if you show up without a pecan pie, pecan?
Sorry,
I'm a Yankee. Pecan pie, there would be a revolt. There would be sadness.
Sadly, this year we don't have Texas pecans. My parents have 3 pecan trees in their backyard.
Why didn't your dad bring pecans?
I don't know. Maybe they didn't have a good year. Maybe he wasn't picking them up this year. Some years the squirrels get most of them. Some years my parents get most of them.
Oh, Sunday we need to tell the stories of the squirrel wars. We might have mentioned it before, actually, but
Yes.
Your dad's war against the squirrels.
It's very surprising.
It's in Texas. But
that's what's surprising.
That's what's surprising about it. So, yeah, pecan pie. Okay, but let's get back to the disagreements. Stuffing. It's not about whether the stuffing goes in the bird or not. Neither of us put stuffing in the bird.
No,
It's not something we do. But my family stuffing, has green peppers, bell peppers.
No, I don't like green bell peppers.
And sausage, like bulk sausage.
It's just wrong. Sausage,
like Jimmy Dean.
No.
Yes.
Wrong.
Okay. Yours has. This is like the lasagna debate.
It is like the lasagna debate.
And your stuffing?
Like the normal things that stuffing has.
Normal stuffing, as opposed to my weird Italian American stuffing.
Right, weird Italian American
with those
stuffing.
weird stuff in it, like your weird lasagna that has spinach in it for some reason.
Because it's good.
And mushrooms. What? So because I need to defend myself here. No. So last year we compromised. We made both. And then we had these massive
We had
of
way
stuff.
and I was not eating a lot of bread products at that point, and it was just way too much.
I ended up throwing stuff away. Stuffing away. It was just too much.
It was sad.
And it was going to go bad because it had meat in it.
Because that's another reason why you don't put meat in the
How
stuffing.
could having meat in it be bad? It's pork. Anyway, so this is...
But you're putting pork in a turkey.
No, you're not putting it in the turkey, remember? You're serving it next to it. It is a side dish. Not an inside dish. It's a side dish. So I've compromised and said this year... Well, I said this year, we can make your stuffing. We don't have to make mine. And then we just said something at dinner, and several of the kids said, I like Daddy's stuffing. I'm like, yes, bazinga. Although a couple said they didn't like it. Like, who was it? Was it Bella who didn't like the idea of my stuffing? Or was it Anthony?
I do not remember. I wasn't following the conversation very well.
We are a split family on this matter. So, but we can make your stuffing. That's fine. In the interest of cutting down on the number of different dishes on the table, we can have one stuffing this year.
Okay, then.
But you told me before we started that you have a bit of a dilemma about the way we do Thanksgiving, which is we have it at home and we have no guests. It used to be years ago when we were first married, all the family gathered at my brother Bernie's house, where his wife Carol, amazing cook, would cook for the vast clan.
Right.
We had one child or two children. Actually, I think I think as young as Anthony.
No. I remember Lucy's first and second Thanksgivings were over at
Okay.
Bernie.
And then my sister's 8. My brother John wouldn't be coming there with his 6, but my sister's 8 would be there. Our 5, and then me and Melanie and Evie and Pete and my mom and Francesca. And sometimes even Carol's brother or sister would come with her family.
Her sister Roberta would come.
They'd come up from New York, or I forget where they live, but we'd all be there, and she'd cook this gigantic bird that could barely fit in the oven.
Sometimes she'd cook 2 birds.
Yes, but we don't do that. So it got to the point where I think when the year she had a knee operation and she couldn't do it, and then even after that, we just started at home. We missed having the leftovers and having the food at home.
Well, we would actually sometimes do
we do a second dinner.
A second Thanksgiving dinner just to have Thanksgiving leftovers.
Right. We'd have it on Friday or something like that. But so we've been doing it home since then. But because we don't have people coming over, you have this dilemma.
Well, I guess it's a dilemma.
Well, you said dilemma.
Did I? I don't know.
You did. You used the
Anyway,
word.
It feels wrong to have Thanksgiving dinner in the midst of a house that looks like a tornado just tore through it. But the thing is that
i.e. our house every day.
Right. Are the usual state of our house. It would be nice to have it clean. If we had company coming, we would tidy up and we would keep it clean. But the thing is, without the pressure of company coming, to me, just getting Thanksgiving dinner on the table is enough stress that I can only really hyper focus on one thing at a time.
So you wish you were more stressed?
No.
Okay, so kind of keep it straight. Go ahead.
No, I think that it would be easier to sort of round up the troops and make them do more cleaning if they're actually pretty good at okay, so people are coming. We need to come.
They buy in. They're in. They're we need to help. We need to get clean because people are coming our family's coming to visit, or somebody's coming to visit. So we need to clean. Right. They feel the pressure.
Right. I have seen them at 9 o'clock in the morning suddenly pull out the vacuum cleaners and go to town because friends were coming for a play date.
Yeah.
I mean, this is really strange, but this is something that happens. They get very excited about the friends coming, and
with Sophie at the head.
Clean. Well, I've seen Ben pull out the vacuum cleaner to vacuum his room.
Yes, that's true. That's true. Yeah.
So there is a certain ability to sort of get them in gear, which happens when there's a sort of external motivation. But yes. I'm not sure it's Thanksgiving and we need to tidy up. It would sort of get kind of half-heartedly clean maybe, but not the same. It's not the same.
Yeah. So, yeah, I know.
And yet, like you said, do you want more stress? No, I don't want more stress. Which is why I usually end up with like, well, the house is a mess, but
Right.
at least we're eating Thanksgiving dinner.
Well, this is the thing. This is, God bless them. I have many friends who I see on Facebook, and they do it up like a magazine cover. You know what I mean? Their houses look immaculate. They're decorated. They have Thanksgiving decorations everywhere. Their table is. That's not us. It'll never be us. It's not our style. It's just not who we are. We have our regular. We'll put a tablecloth out.
We do.
Yeah, we'll put a tablecloth. We'll have candles, and maybe the girls will put together a little centerpiece of leaves and things or something that they get in the yard if they want. But in general, I mean, we don't have big decorations. It's not our style.
I'm just not very gifted in the home decoration.
It's not our. It's not our thing. Now, you want a good dinner? That we can do.
Right.
Our dinners are pretty darn awesome. But yeah, the other thing is, it's just not us. So I'm okay with that. I'm relaxed. I want to enjoy my dinner. I don't want to have it to be like like I'm trying to set up for a photo shoot.
Yeah, I sort of just want somebody else to like clean the house.
Clean,
hint.
clean. I'm on board with. I would like it to be clean too and picked up and neat. It's not so much that it's dirty; it's cluttered, and
Right.
so I would love to get we need to get the bins that we had all the winter clothes in. Those need to be out.
Yes.
That sort of stuff. Things come in, they sit and they stay, and they become part of the scenery. And they need to. That's one of the things that decluttering does. I just decluttered my desk this weekend, or Friday. I took everything off my desk, literally everything off, unplugged everything, all the wires, and I found wires. I'm like, what is this wire for? For something I don't have anymore, and got rid of it. I was replacing all my my power outlets because you got to replace them every once in a while. I'll talk more about that on Secrets of Technology this week, next week, because we're not doing it this week. The next thing is even though I'm not doing the full slate of shows this week, I still got a lot I need to do. Like I still got a Jimmy Akin's Mysterious World I got to edit for Friday. I got, so I'm going to try to make time and space to help you clean. But...
And honestly, I don't know that we're going to have much of a school week this week.
It's school vacation. This is why we homeschool year round.
Yeah,
we have these seasons.
We might do. Oh, I've got to go grocery shopping tomorrow, and then Tuesday Ben has an appointment, a doctor's appointment, and then
is there Scouts Tuesday night? I have to check with the girls. Or Chris.
And then Wednesday is definitely going to be like cooking all day.
Chris, is there Scouts tonight? But yes. Well, that's the other thing. We don't do a lot of pre-cooking. I mean, there are people who do test turkeys. I'm sorry. I can cook a turkey. I don't need to do a test turkey. Whatever you get whatever comes out of the oven on Thursday afternoon is the turkey we're going to eat. So, yeah. I just do not. We've got enough leftovers from one turkey to have two turkeys.
I think that's people who host lots of people.
It must
be.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. I mean, it boggles my mind that people who do and they do weeks of pre-cooking. People do. It's wild.
If you're feeding an army, I can understand that.
Oh, I know. I never want to do that. I don't want to do that sort of thing. I don't want to be in the position of having to do it. So, well, next week we'll have the post-op, the post-mortem, the after operations report, however you want to put it, and talk about what our Thanksgiving was like. And heck, I'd love to hear how other people's Thanksgivings go. Oh, I have to remember to find, every year I post on social media Marnie's Thanksgiving letter.
Cat Hodges already got you beat.
Did she already post it?
She posted it this week or maybe even last week.
No. You have to post it Thanksgiving week.
No,
otherwise,
she was getting ahead so that everybody else could find it on her feed.
Okay, I'll have to go to her feed and share it. Well, the other thing I have to post is the clip from WKRP in Cincinnati. As God is my witness, I thought turkeys could fly. One of the funniest TV bits in ever. That's my thing. And then Thursday morning, I post a picture of from Breaking Bad, where Heisenberg says, "Let's cook." And this is the traditions. Social media traditions.
Tradition.
Our other tradition, which you don't like, is the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade.
I do not like the Macy's
Melanie
Thanksgiving
does not
parade.
like watching parades on TV.
Oh, it's like people don't stop talking, like endless
The hosts,
chatter.
yeah.
Oh, I cannot stand if there's it's something I can't stand. It's that
Talking
feeling
to
of
fill the air.
talking to fill the air because you can't have silence. Like they have nothing to say. It's completely vapid. It's devoid of any interesting content. It's just talk.
Oh, and then the parts
for talk's sake,
where the network brings in people who are like stars of shows on the network to talk about how great it is they're at the Thanksgiving Day parade. And by the way, tell us about your new show. Don't you love that part?
No. I would rather.
Oh yeah.
I would rather do just about anything unpleasant rather than watch the Thanksgiving Day parade.
So what happens is the kids are in the office with the TV, and I'm in here as I can.
Well, but here's the other thing: when the kids are like spend the entire morning watching the parade, they're not running around outside, and so then by the time dinner comes around, they're crazy. They are insane.
Wait. At this time of year, they don't run around outside. Like unless
you have to kick them out.
All right, this year, yeah, it's going to be 47 for a high.
You have to kick them outside. You have to just like bundle them in coats and kick them outside and lock the door behind them so they can't get back in for at least an hour. Like go run around. If you're cold, run more.
A new Thanksgiving tradition: the mom lockout. Mom, let us in. We're cold.
No, you must run.
Oh, the neighbors think the wonderful things about us. So the other thing, the other struggle every year is, so we go to my brother's for dessert, but there's only dessert. Like dessert's at 4, and there's only dessert. There's no, like, it's not dinner. We don't have dinner, and the kids get hungry again. Like if we eat, Thanksgiving dinner at 1:30, that's lunch.
Right.
Then it's supper time.
Like your internal clock doesn't say, oh, well, I had a huge lunch, therefore I'm not hungry.
So they'll eat pie, but that's not going to fill their belly, and they're going to get. In fact, they get sick. Although the last few years,
get sick.
Didn't John actually bring out like turkey and make some pasta?
Yeah, I think he did. I think finally.
I think he's kind of gotten the idea.
But
yeah. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. So we want to hear your Thanksgiving report. Like what do you, like? Either what do you do? What are your traditions? But also, how did it go? And who's right, me or Melanie, when it comes to stuffing?
Well, me of obviously.
Course. No, me, of course. So let's talk about what we've been reading and watching. So let me talk first about Midway. And if you listen to the Secrets of Movies and TV Shows, you've probably heard me talk about it with Father Chip. Father Chip Hines and I, my friend Father Chip, he's local, so we go to movies together, and then afterward we get a cup of coffee and we talk about it, record it, and we post it as a podcast. But so we went and saw Midway, which is the Roland Emmerich's movie about the Battle of Midway, the events leading up to it and the battle. So Pearl Harbor's there, and some other stuff, Battle of Coral Sea and stuff like that. Roland Emmerich. This is the guy who did 2012. He is not known for his restraint. Like he is like over the top. I have to say, this was one of the best movies I've seen this year. I mean, this is the year that we had Avengers Endgame. Yeah, I mean, this is really good. It was accurate to a fault. Like it was so like everything that happens in the movie happened in real life. And then when you see the movie, you're going, no, that can't have happened in real life. That's just too. No. You go look it up. It actually happened. So really good. In fact, sometimes word for word, the things that people said. So I'm trying to think of like who, like Woody Harrelson is in it as Admiral Nimitz. I'm like, you're like Woody Harrelson. Come on, really good. It was a lot. There's a lot of actors, I'm trying to think. Oh, all these names now.
Or actors,
actors people know. People know a lot of these actors.
Uh-huh.
The one funny thing is Jimmy Akin pointed out that there's an actor who's in The Man in the High Castle who's also in Midway. So Man in the High Castle, in case you don't know, takes place in an alternate history where the Nazis and the Japanese won World War II, and the Japanese control San Francisco. So this guy plays a character in Midway. He's a code breaker, and at one point he warns them, if we don't accurately translate this and figure out what the Japanese are going to do, we're all going to be speaking Japanese on the West Coast, which is actually what happens in Man in the High Castle and happens to him in his character in the Castle. It's this really weird connection.
But you have to think, did they write that line for him because of the connection?
I don't know. I mean, but the thing is, a lot of this, what the people said was actually accurate. I mean, I don't know. The actor himself, anyway, must have been like, wow, this is really kind of a weird coincidence or a weird connection. So it was really kind of funny. But that actually brings me to this interesting thought about these. So I watched Man in the High Castle, the first episode of the 4th season. It's the last season. And like I said, it's an alternative history. And I've been watching For All Mankind, which is another one of these alternative history where the Soviets landed on the moon first and the consequences of that. And one of the things I'm noticing about both of these is in these alternative histories where the bad guys win, society they depict that society advances faster in certain ways. In Man in the High Castle, it advances faster in technology and in medicine. They have like vertical liftoff and landing jets, like the V-22 Osprey in 1965. You know, I mean, they have it like as far back as that. And then in For All Mankind, the Soviets landing on the moon, and it ends up propelling things so that women's libs starts way earlier, and women, you know, the ERA movement, all that sort of stuff, and you end up having female astronauts going into space as early as 1971, and a woman landing on the moon. The first woman on the moon is a Soviet, and it's like, in Ted Kennedy, it looks like, I haven't gotten that far yet in this thing, but it looks like Ted Kennedy will run for president against Nixon.
Interesting.
Because, and the reason that he can run it is because instead of when the Soviets landed on the moon, there were hearings on Capitol Hill to find out, you know, what went wrong and so Kennedy had to go to the hearings instead of going home on vacation to Chappaquiddick Island.
Interesting.
So he never had the accident, and Mary Jo Kopechne lived in For All Mankind. So you didn't have the scandal. So he was able to maintain that high level of public profile at that point. And so anyway, the idea is, like, I wonder what it is, whether they just want to explore the seeming contradiction of bad guys win, but yet good things happen.
Which creates interesting dramatic tensions and stuff.
Right.
Interesting storylines.
Or is it a bias that if only, you know, maybe the bad guys aren't bad guys, and if only
maybe we're really the bad guys,
right? Or that somehow Americans or the American way is not as good. I mean, I'm sure they're not saying that the Nazis were good. I don't think that they're, you know,
or maybe it's just a matter of like, these are more interesting stories to tell, and
yeah,
and what more interesting what ifs to explore.
Yeah, it's probably what it is. I just think the thing is interesting how they're doing that. They're peppering it in there. You know, that it's not all bad. I mean, they're not the Man in the High Castle is really bad, but there are advances that are good.
Well, I suppose that's kind of, I mean, that's sort of true of all history, right? Like,
yeah.
there's nobody
there's good and the bad,
right?
You take the good, you take the bad. It's the facts of life. So you watched something today with the kids.
Oh, yes. So we had a rainy day today.
Very rainy, cold day.
And I said, let's watch a movie. And nobody wanted to watch a movie.
Which is weird.
I was really disappointed because I wanted to like make popcorn. I got some like movie candy and I was all ready to like watch a movie. And the kids were like, meh.
I didn't get that. That was weird. But we figured out, well, something that we could do instead.
So instead we watched some shows.
We watched Star Wars shows that they had not seen yet.
Right. So they hadn't seen either of the animated series, Clone Wars or Star Wars Rebels.
Yes.
And there was some disagreement, very strong disagreement about which show to watch. Should we watch Clone Wars or should we watch Rebels?
Oh, yes.
So then...
So with a Solomonic wisdom, I said...
Dom says...
Why not both? It's just that great meme of the little girl. Did you ever see that one?
Yes,
Why not both?
I love that one. So we watched both.
Because the episodes are 25 minutes long. You can watch, you know, 2 of each in the time span you'd watch a movie.
We actually ended up watching 2 Clone Wars episodes and 3 Rebels episodes.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I've seen like 1 or 2 episodes sort of over your shoulder, like, but just dipping into the middle and not having any of the real backstory, even though you tried to explain the backstory, that never really works.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
It doesn't. And so we're watching sort of from the beginning, both the beginnings of both series. I really was more drawn to Rebels.
Right.
Uh,
Clone Wars has a very child-oriented, especially in the beginning. It's very kind of slapstick. It becomes less
the kids really like the battle droids.
Oh, the silly battle droids. Yeah.
Silly battle droid slapstick stuff, which is not my favorite.
Well, but that was the knock against Clone Wars early on, was that it was very slapstick. But it became much more serious when they realized that adults were watching. They thought only kids would watch in the beginning.
Right.
But it's a very actually serious storyline.
Adults can't get enough of Star Wars, so of course they're watching.
Well,
but even from a sort of even if this was made for kids, like the first 2 episodes that we saw had some interesting moments in them, and I can see why adults would continue to watch them, because I do want to keep watching. The development of Anakin, especially.
Yes, this is the key, right? Because I hadn't watched Clone Wars for years before someone finally convinced me to watch it, because I thought it was just kind of silliness. But what it does is it takes place in between the second 2 prequel movies, and it explains
in between 1 and 2, or between 2 and 3.
Between 2 and 3. So between Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith. Which, if you just watch the movies, like there's this really non-believable character development in Anakin that suddenly he's bad guy. Like he's Darth Vader. Like what?
Like he goes from cute little kid Anakin to
to creepy ogler teenage Anakin. Remember, he was creeping on Padme. In the second movie, and then he becomes like possessive domestic abuser and violent mass murderer. All of us, like very suddenly,
like just boom, the
out of nowhere.
Worst character
because
development.
Because he gets sand in his shorts or something. I don't know what that is.
Worst character development ever.
So what this does is, over the course of, I think it's like 5 seasons of of 25-minute episodes, so it's not like a lot of time, but much more than a movie. They develop the character. You see his progression into the dark side of the Force. Like
I have to say, even in the first episode, the first episode doesn't have Anakin in it.
Right.
The second one does. Even in that one episode, I felt like there was more satisfactory character development than in the movie.
Right.
Like Anakin as a Jedi master with an apprentice was a really interesting moment for me. Like, and I have to say, like, even in the little bit that you get in that one episode, there's something kind of off. Like the way he treats her, he doesn't feel very masterly. He feels kind of immature.
Jedi Knight, not master, but there's a slight difference.
Okay, Jedi Knight. But
sorry, I just did an Anthony on you. Anthony is our keeper of the hologram.
I am not as into the Star Wars mythos.
This is true. But I am so grateful that you are as much as you are.
I have to say that this was much more satisfactory than the movie, in terms of like, okay, this is an interesting Anakin. I want to see what's happening here. Anakin with an apprentice, Anakin
relating to Obi-Wan and having to deal with the war and the clone troopers.
Anakin as a general, just like fighting a war and but taking not wanting to take orders, but for good reason. Like you're thinking, well, I wouldn't obey that order either. Like,
right.
There's a good reason for him.
Right.
There is a good reason for him to be disobeying these orders. But you can see where, when you keep disobeying orders, even when there's a good excuse, you're still undermining the chain of a command, the authority.
Right.
And that's not good for your character
right.
Right. So I can see those tensions already there.
And once you get into the final seasons of Clone Wars, you really get to see that development. So I highly recommend it. And in fact, so it's on Disney Plus. We have Disney Plus, obviously, so we can watch it there, which is really great. And then they're actually going to come out with a new season of Clone Wars, because it kind of ended abruptly originally.
Mm-hmm.
Which
spoilers?
No. I mean, it ended abruptly, like they in the middle of a season.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah, like they were just the continuing storylines didn't get wrapped up, so they're going to wrap up the storylines, which is good. But then Rebels, so that takes place during the prequel era. Then Rebels takes place in sort of the Rogue One, immediately preceding A New Hope.
Right. So it's the backstory to A New Hope.
Not really. It's the backstory of the rebellion. So the rebellion kind of starts as a bunch of different small groups that are independent of each other coming together. It's the Rebel Alliance.
Right. So now you see why it's an alliance, because you see the different groups
right.
that eventually.
It originally starts as just these small isolated groups, perhaps on one planet here and there. So in Rogue One you had Saw Gerrera, and
Right.
who, by the way, has his origin in Clone Wars. You'll see him in Clone Wars.
Interesting.
Yeah, and then Enfys Nest, who's in Solo, which I don't want to give too much away there. It's a bit of a spoiler for a 2-year-old movie. Sorry, you should have watched it because it was a good movie.
Yeah, I like Solo. It was a fun movie.
It was a fun movie, which should become a series, but that's a whole nother discussion about whether movies should be movies or streaming series now. But that's another discussion for a future episode. But yeah, so then they all come together, including the crew from Star Wars Rebels, whose ship is in Rise of Skywalker, the movie just about to come out.
Oh, is it?
It's in the background of one of the trailers.
Interesting.
So I don't know whether that's just an Easter egg for the CGI guys, or whether they're actually going to put the characters in, which would be difficult because they're animated characters. But it would be interesting to see. So it's a lot of fun. A lot of fun. I'm glad.
It was a good way to spend a rainy afternoon, even if I didn't get my movie.
Yeah. I was listening to a Doctor Who Big Finish audio play.
But you've already seen this, so.
Yeah, but I've seen them, so. But I needed to get that done before tomorrow because I'm recording with Jimmy and Father Corey that tomorrow, so I wanted to get that done. The other thing I did was read the most recent book in the Wearing the Cape novels.
Is there a new one out?
Yeah, called Repercussions.
Interesting.
Just came out. So I thought I mentioned it to you. Okay.
I do not remember you mentioning it.
Now, so this is a self-published series, reality superhero series, which is the idea of it's what if superheroes were real? Like, not just like in a comic book, but there would be repercussions, no pun intended because of the title of the latest book, but there would be issues like from a legal standpoint, just to take one little thing, a superhero grabbing a criminal in the middle of a crime, how could you prosecute them? I mean, they're not cops, right? Well, they'd have to be given certain legal powers. But if they have to testify, right now our legal system says you have the right to confront your accuser by name. They have to tell their identity. Well, they can't give their secret identity. So what would be the implications? So it goes to the premise in it is that there was this event of lost time. There was like 3.5 seconds in which everybody in the world, all electrical systems stopped for 3.5 seconds, and everybody lost consciousness for 3.5 seconds.
Sort of a worldwide spontaneous blackout.
Right. Which, of course, caused disaster, planes crashing and that sort of stuff. But afterwards, certain people suddenly gained abilities. They were called breakthroughs. And they gained certain abilities. Some were like classic superhero abilities. Others were like more mythological abilities. And
some people became gods, essentially.
Yeah. Yes. Or spirits.
They became sort of their ideas of what.
Right. Well, the key is they were self-realized. It's based on the person's own perception of who they want to be or what they needed in that situation. So Americans tended to become like Superman or Wonder Woman or, like classic comic book superheroes. Whereas people in, say, Japan became more like the mythological figures of Japan or manga characters, or people in just something like, or China became like the Chinese mythological figures. And he's very creative.
But not everybody becomes superheroes. Some people become like vampires or werewolves, right, or like various like
whatever their thing happens to be. One guy was not to spoil anything, but one person was a writer of like a self-published writer of film noir, like noir detective stories, who as he was dying, manifested as his detective character. So changed completely, appearance, memories, everything into this character.
And believes he's the character.
Right. He doesn't remember otherwise. It eventually, something happens. But yeah, like and another one is a guy who, a young man who always wanted a brother. And in his moment, like usually it's a moment that where your life of extreme stress, like maybe your life is threatened or you're about to die, it causes the breakthrough to happen for some reason. They're not sure why. He manifests a brother, because like an older brother who can watch over him and care for him. So a person. What does that mean? The interesting thing is the viewpoint character, her name is Hope, is Catholic. And so the Catholicism comes into play at various points. That's not perfect. The writer is doing his best, but
he is not himself Catholic.
He's not himself Catholic. So he's doing his best portraying the characters. He's based this Catholic priest guy on Father Andrew Greeley's priest character that he has in his books. So it's a little iffy on the Catholic Orthodoxy scale as the character. Still good books. I mean, it is self-published, which means that it is not necessarily the greatest literature. There are areas where it could be improved in style, in writing, but it's fun. It's a fun series. My one complaint is sometimes it's hard to keep track of what things are going on. But part of that, I think, is because I'm reading it as he's publishing them. Whereas I think if you pick them up now and just read from the beginning, it would be easier.
A lot of series read like that. I find that
I have the problem with Brandon Sanderson's books.
I read all of the Dresden Files novels like in one long binge.
Yeah.
Right, back to back to back to back to back.
Right.
And I found the continuity was not at all hard, but I know people who are reading them as they come out who sort of gave up midstream because it was just too hard to keep track of what was going on. So I think there's a lot of series that sort of work that way.
Yeah, yeah. And he has got extra source materials that you can refer to that tell you about different characters and their backstories and stuff. Like as the mythology has grown, he's developed stuff to help you kind of keep track of things.
I don't like reading stuff that's not like the actual novels, though. I find it.
I know,
boring.
and you don't have to in order to enjoy them, and that's the next thing. So I just finished the latest one of that. It's very interesting. I like it. Not his best novel, not the best one in the series. I felt like it ended a little too quickly. That things wrapped up. The conflict was more internal than it was external, but because there was an external villain, you had to wrap that up, and that just wrapped up really kind of too quick for my taste. But it's still good. So I was pleased with that.
Fun.
So that's what we've been reading and watching. So let's talk about. Well, I mean, do you want to talk about the last topic, or put that off, or for another time? We've already been going at it over an hour now.
I think I'm done.
Right.
Stick a fork in me.
I know our limit is about an hour, and frankly, we think that oftentimes the listeners' limits is about an hour. So we'll take mercy on you, and I'll take mercy on Melanie for that. We'll perhaps come back to that some other time. We do want to take a moment to thank our patrons who make it possible for us to create Raising the Bets, including Rochelle K, Familia Napuri, Trevor W., Jason H., and Tim D. Their generous donations at sqpn.com/give make it possible for us to continue Raising the Bets and all the shows at StarQuest. You can join them by visiting sqpn.com/give. So, if you have any feedback on our discussion, anything you want to say about it, you can let us know by commenting at sqpn.com/bets, that's BETTS, or the SQPN Facebook page, facebook.com/StarQuestMedia, or send us an email to bets, BETTS, at sqpn.com, and all of that, plus the relevant links for our discussion, are in our show notes at sqpn.com/bets. Be sure, if you have not yet done so, subscribe in Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, your favorite podcast app, or the SQPN YouTube channel, where you should hit the bell to make sure you get notifications of new episodes. Until next time, I'm Don Bettinelli.
And I'm Melanie Bettinelli.
Thank you for listening to Raising the Bets on StarQuest, and happy Thanksgiving.